We got Eagles. We got Bears. We got a special guest. It's Black Friday for the first time in the NFL. Trending in the AM. We are live in 30 seconds. And a very good morning, everybody, and welcome to Trending in the AM right here on the STT Sports Network. Guys, we're live, YouTube and Twitter, as we always are. Please, wherever you're watching, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and please share this out as we've got a jam-packed show today. But the first and foremost thing is to hit those buttons. It's free to do. Also, on the YouTube page, vote on our poll question of the day. It's a really simple poll question today. Who wins the first Black Friday game in the NFL today, the Eagles or the Bears? That's what we're talking about to start. Hopefully, everybody got their fill of turkey yesterday, and we can get ready. We can get prepared for a great, fun 3 p.m. game. And I'm joined today by a very special guest. Got a text message literally 10 minutes ago. Hey, can I come on? I'm like, of course. Of course. The great Mark Moscatelli. Mark with a C. Good morning, Mark. How are you today?
Good morning. How are you?
Oh, I'm fantastic, and it looks like you're doing pretty well. It looks like you got your fill of turkey gobble yesterday.
Yeah, the plates were phenomenal yesterday. Everybody brought their A game who cooked. We had the turkey, we had the ham, we had some sweet potatoes, we had some mashed potatoes that were actually really banging, and my daughter made a mac and cheese dish that she got off of TikTok that was just unbelievably good. We loved it. Yeah, and I drank a lot yesterday.
I think I saw one of your pictures a stuffed shell as well, because you got to have a pasta dish, right?
Yeah, yes. We squeezed in a stuffed shell. I drank. We drank Jack Daniels and homemade wine all day. So sometimes you need that to get through one of these holidays.
Absolutely. We were talking about this yesterday a little bit before we had some technical difficulties on the show. You bring up mac and cheese. All of a sudden, like 20, 30, 40 years ago, mac and cheese was not part of the Thanksgiving rotation. Now, the more and more you read about it, everyone has mac and cheese on their table now.
Yeah, it kind of replaced the green bean casserole on ours. And my mom, I love her to death. She makes like this pineapple like stuffing thing, and every year, like I don't even look at it, let alone eat it. So I feel bad. So, Mom, I'm really sorry I didn't eat the pineapple dish that you put out again this year for like the 10th consecutive year. But I digress.
Yeah, digress. It's okay. That's what we do. That's what we digress. Quick comments. Good morning, Duck. How you doing? Everyone had a great day, I'm sure. Yes, we better win. I'm not saying that it's make or break, but we better win. I love this. And we're going to get into this in 1 second because I think it's a very important comment. Good morning. It's game day. Good morning, Adam. How are you? Black Friday. It's weird to have a Black Friday football game, isn't it? Like 3:00 Friday. It's like this weird time. Maybe it's just weird to me because I'm not in the pizza business anymore. But it just feels like a weird time and day to watch football today.
Well, yeah. I mean, so like there are like, if I'm not mistaken, and somebody can correct me in the chat, there are like laws in the books or broadcasting rules or whatever that professional football cannot interfere in high school and college football games during their seasons. And the workaround was to have this afternoon game because there's still Friday Night Lights that is going on. And it's a weird time at 3:00, and it's right in the middle of you were doing Black Friday shopping. We did not go shopping this year. Like that's almost dead. Like nobody wakes up 6:00 in the morning to go get a TV from Walmart anymore. At least not that I'm aware of.
You don't have to.
No, you don't. You don't. I mean, online and Amazon and a lot of these stores start their sales way earlier. But yeah, 3:00 in the afternoon. Like I got like some things to do today. And having like a football game at 3:00 is going to make it feel like it's a Sunday when it's only a Friday. So, you know, it's Yeah, it's weird. It's weird, and it's the only game. And here's the other thing too, not to like hog up this conversation.
Oh.
So you had 3 games yesterday that I watched about 90 seconds of the games, and I'm honestly, this is going to sound weird. I'm glad the Cowboys beat the Chiefs. Stick a fork in the Chiefs. They're done. I love it. Okay. So you got 3 games yesterday. You got a 4th game today. I believe there's a Sunday night game. Or and a Monday night game. How many freaking games are going to be at 1 and 4 tomorrow?
Yeah.
Like almost none.
Yeah.
Or Sunday rather. So
yeah, that's a fair point there as well. At some point, we always joke that at some point there's going to be, excuse me, there's going to be football 7 days a week at some point. It's not in the near future, but 10 years from now, I bet you we're talking Monday games, Tuesday games, Wednesday games. It's going to be a long drawn thing because it's all about money, and there's so much money involved. Jim's saying it's can't broadcast after 6. I think that's just with high school. You're allowed to broadcast. I think with college, I think there's just like a wink, handshake kind of deal. But with high school football, they don't do it, to interfere. But I think most football is over for high school at this point, isn't it?
In
Kennett and Unionville, just because Kennett and Unionville is bad, that's why there's none, right?
There's no and listen, here's a segue into something else, Phil. Like there is no more Thanksgiving Day high school football.
No,
there is none. And 6ABC did a spotlight on Pittman versus Clayton. It was their 100th year game this year, and they talked about how the high school playoffs for state championships have interfered with Thanksgiving games. My alma mater called off their Thanksgiving Day game this year because I think it was the team that they normally play couldn't field a team, or somebody got suspended, or whatever it was. So, even so, if they were in the playoff hunt, they would have canceled it anyway because the playoffs supersede everything else. So it's pretty stinky.
Yeah.
It's a shame because it's a tradition. Especially you go back and you see all the guys and gals that you grew up with and whatnot. I think it sucks. I think they should reinstate that somehow, whether move playoffs back or move back the season a week so you could still squeeze in a Thanksgiving game. I don't know. I think they should do something like that because that's an American tradition that should not go away.
Absolutely. All right, let's get this comment here
and
get into Eagles talk. Obviously, we better win. Not saying it's a make or break, but we better win. And I think it brings up an interesting topic because it's obviously Eagles, it's Bears, Black Friday. It's in South Philly. It's going to be cold. It's going to be windy. And we're coming off a pretty rough loss against the Cowboys. The Bears coming off a pretty good win against the Steelers, both fighting for playoff positioning. Both teams are going to make the playoffs at this point. Obviously, the Lions beating the Packers yesterday. That division's really tight. It's a huge game for the Bears, probably their most difficult. How make or break is this game for the Eagles? The Eagles got to get back on the winning track, but even with a loss, it's not the end of their season. How make or break do you feel this game is for the Eagles today, Mark?
If you would have asked me at the beginning of the season, I would have said this will be a cakewalk. It's not a game that would be important. I'm looking at their matchups right now on Pro Football Reference. They are pretty evenly matched up. And aside from their defense, I mean, the Bears let up 26.5 points a game. Like, if there was ever a game for the Eagles to, like, stomp on somebody from an offensive perspective,
get right.
Today is the day. So if they come out and win this game 13-9, like, okay, great, I'll take the win. But, like, what really is going on in that offensive playroom? Like they need to put on an offensive show. And they have, they have 6 guys, the Bears have 6 guys out on defense, and they did activate their 2 guys. I think it was Johnson and Gordon, I think, their defensive backs. But still, like you got 6 dudes that are out, including TJ Edwards, is the former Eagle there.
There's actually quite a few. There's a lot of Eagles.
This team.
There's TJ Edwards, who's out, but there's also DeAndre Swift, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, Lamade Zacchaeus. I'm missing one. Yeah, and Kevin Byard. So there's 5 former Eagles on this team. Lamade Zacchaeus even making it. The thing that I don't know, because like you're saying 27th in points scored, 26 and a half a game. The Bears defense is bad. Their offense is good. Like the story that on paper this matchup says was exactly what we talked about last week with the Cowboys. Great offense, bad defense, and it didn't work out for us. Like I'm torn on how to feel. I'm looking at this Bears team. I'm looking at the games they played. Who have they beaten? They beat Detroit. They lost to Detroit earlier this year. Never mind.
And we beat them.
They beat Dallas.
And we beat Dallas.
Yeah. I mean, they beat Pittsburgh without Aaron Rodgers. You know, they don't have their only really tough game, and even Baltimore, who they lost to, Baltimore wasn't that good at that point. They don't have any player that stands out and like jumps off the page. You know, they got two really good wide receivers. They got a good running game. They've got a quarterback who I've been very harsh on, but, you know, is playing better. Like, they don't have anything that jumps out. They haven't had a statement win, or they don't have a statement player. But yet they are sitting at 8-3 in arguably one of the most difficult divisions in football. Because top to bottom, that division is really good, even on their worst day. So it's a really hard game to judge. And if you go out there and lose, and again, the offense doesn't put up points, I don't know whether I would be pissed off or not. I mean, I'd be pissed off the initial overreaction, but big picture, because 8-4 is still 8-4.
You know, and I have a lot of faith in this Eagles team.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll take the win, but the more that they win with an unimpressed offensive performance, the more that you're going to talk about is this 2023 all over again. And the other thing here too is like yesterday, like the Packers won, the Lions lost.
Mm-hmm.
The Rams are at the top. You got the Bears and the Eagles. You got like a logjam right now
mm-hmm.
in the playoff pick, the top half of the season, the playoff picture right now. And honestly, like this is kind of a must win, because if you start going down tiebreakers, like, you know, the first one is head to head, and if there's a tiebreaker with the Bears, like we got to have that in our pocket. And we're actually sitting pretty with a lot of these tiebreakers right now. You got to add to it here. Like if they lose here, that's going to be a big problem.
This game, tiebreaker wise, literally puts us. We have almost every tiebreaker right now. Winning this game would put us on the tiebreaker pretty much across the board.
Correct. So we could, at the very least, if we just ride things out, we'll be a 1 or 2 seed. If we lose, like we could be like the 3 or 4 seed. Yep. Like we don't want that. We don't want that. And it's you know, like, I don't know. I think it's a must win. I think it's a.
See, the thing is, you said a few seconds ago you're concerned about 23 and stuff like that. So you're saying if we go out there today and win 20-17, the offense still doesn't get going. You know, maybe another defensive score or something like that, but we just beat another good team. But then people will say, well, the Bears haven't beaten anybody good. Like, is there almost a double-edged sword where you just the win-loss, no matter, it's putting out a great offensive performance that matters the most?
No, I don't think it's a double-edged sword. I mean, NFL football, for the most part, there's a couple plays and players that you're anywhere you could be 3-14 or 14-3. I really believe that.
Yep.
So a lot of these matchups are pretty even.
Mm-hmm.
And they're what's the saying? Any given Sunday. So, but listen, they're home. They're the showcase game. You're coming right off Thanksgiving. A lot of people are off. This is going to be probably a party day like that. I expect that link to be rocking and rolling today for this game. And, you know, they have the home field advantage. And I'm looking at the last 5 matchups. The Eagles have won the last 5. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of a big deal when the Bears overall own us in the overall matchup. So, you know, there's no reason for them that they can't keep going in that direction there. So I just think I'm looking at the defense on the Bears, and Ben Johnson is an offensive-minded coach. I don't even know who's their defensive coordinator. Do you know?
I don't even know his name.
I don't even know.
No.
But like this is the game. Like if you wanted to break the running game out of its doldrums. This is like the game. If this is a game where you can have Devontae and AJ both go over 100, this is the game. If you wanted Hurts to throw for 303 touchdowns, like, this is the game. Like, so if this is the game, they gotta show something on offense.
Yeah.
I'm going to be watching the offensive line and running game pretty close,
Mm-hmm.
because that is what's killing this team. It's not I don't think it really is the passing offense, because in the end, like if you look at Hurts' numbers, at least on the surface, they're phenomenal. All right, maybe he's not throwing 300 yards a game, but he's not making any mistakes. He's not turning the ball over. His quarterback rating's over 100, 17-1 touchdown to interception ratio. Like, that's kind of pretty good, man. The completion percentage is over 65%, I think. Kind of pretty good. You know, he's playing mistake-free football, but there are people that they're arguing he's got to take more chances. So when he takes more chances and he turns the ball over, it's like he's got to protect the football. So which is it? I think he's doing what they're asking them to do. The problem that they're having is what I believe is, as soon as they get the big lead, they go into shutdown mode to, all right, let's grind the clock out, let's run the ball, which worked perfectly for them last year with the 2,000-yard back. This year, Barkley can't get over 4 yards a carry, and they're not cycling in Shipley or Bigby as they should, and that's a big problem. Like if you're going to play that game, you got to execute in a run game, and you can't. And why can't you? I think Barkley has lost a step. I know that's going to be unpopular to say, and he's got an injured groin he'll be playing with today. And the offensive line has been a total train wreck all season. And they can't pass block, they can't run block, and they got guys that are hurt that I believe are not being truthful 100% on how injured they are, which is causing issues. And you know, you have supposedly the greatest offensive line coach to ever walk in a football building in Jeff Stoutland, and he's catching some heat online because he hasn't been able to kind of figure out what's going on here.
Yeah, that was a lot to unpack. So
sorry, dude. I just went on a tangent.
No, it's okay. on Stoutland, we talked about it yesterday or 2 days ago. His assistant that went and joined Kellen Moore, TJ Pagnotti, who was his assistant offensive line coach. We lost him, and obviously I agree, because there's a comment a few minutes ago. Smitty is playing today, and then there was the offensive line you're talking about. Whether you're talking about Saquon losing a step or not, maybe there is something to that. But obviously the offensive line is not healthy. And we've talked on this show a lot where sometimes the coaches got to protect the players from themselves. Offensive linemen are warriors. They don't know how to say, I need a game off. They just want to tough it out. And Cam Jurgens, Landon Dickerson, Lane Johnson, obviously, who is out for a few more weeks. This offensive line, I don't know. You can't properly judge Kevin Patullo. You can't properly judge Saquon. You can't properly judge anybody, because without a healthy offensive line, every winning team, every championship team has a great offensive line, and you can't win without that. So to Delco's comment here, no, the Eagles are not going to blow the division to Dallas. There's no chance, zero chance that Dallas wins the division. And then you get to the Tank Bigsby situation, and I do expect Tank Bigsby to get more touches today, Duck, for sure. But how much we trust, I don't know. I don't know. There absolutely needs to be more of a Buckholder, Staley, Westbrook element to this offense. I agree with you, Nooms. I think it would happen for sure. What does it say? Pajuniti? What? Oh, you're trying to tell me how to pronounce TJ's last name. Pajuniti. Pajuniti. Okay. My bad. Never really good with the pronunciations of names there. Just a Paisan. That's all it is. But look, obviously, Mark, the injuries are a big deal. But it still doesn't answer whether it's must win or not, because you got people like Delco Green saying it's a must win game, because you don't want to lose a division to Dallas. Like, I just don't know how I feel, because everything you say is this is the get right game. You went on your run there, and you're telling me everything is lining up. But that is exactly what I said last week against Dallas, and we see how it played out.
And honestly, they should have beat the balls off of Dallas. Let's be honest.
Should have.
They were up 21-0, and they got lazy. They got fat and lazy, and and they were sloppy. That's part of the issue. Like
penalties. Here, let me give you the stats.
Terrible.
We're seventh in the league in penalties. You know who's worse than us in penalties? The Chicago Bears.
The Bears.
In penalty differential, in penalties per game, in yards per game, they're 1, we're 2. So this game and the ref crew that we got going on here. I don't know if you look and follow any of the ref crews. Carl Sheffers. I don't know if you know who Carl Sheffers is and his ref crew, but he's one of the heaviest flag crew in the league. The only time we've ever lost a football game under Nick Sirianni with this ref crew, the Super Bowl against the Chiefs a few years ago. It's the only time. Right. Because he calls more defensive holding than any ref crew in the NFL. So they better have black gloves. Well, hold on, no. What are the Bears? Whatever color jerseys, they better have those gloves on today. But the penalties, like I can deal with, the offensive line not blocking well because they're injured. I could deal with Saquon losing a step. Hell, I could deal with Jalen Hurts if he started turning the ball over, because he's trying to push. I cannot deal with penalties. I cannot deal with 14 penalties a game. And it's not a one-off. This is all year long, the penalties. False starts, illegal formations, holdings, dumb penalties. When Matt Pryor got flagged for not, lining up correctly, that's a fundamental coaching issue right there and an attention to detail. And that's what worries me the most about this team is the details in the fundamentals. And you can't have that kind of a penalty, season and win games.
Yeah. I mean, listen, penalties hurt you. Turnovers hurt you. Both of those things that they did terrible last game. They did. Again, if they were just a little bit more tighter with discipline and protected the ball a little bit more, they probably end up winning that game. But they got, again, sloppy, fat, and lazy is what I've seen. And what's crazy about that is like they're still they've more or less, I believe they've been playing like that and they keep winning. So they have talent and they have some execution that's out there. You just got to bring it all together. I mean, I got to be honest with you. This is not the season to be saying, well, fire Nick.
And people are saying that, just so you know.
Which is fucking, excuse my language. It's just ridiculous, dude. Like, what more do you want from this man? Like, he's 5 years. He's going to go to the playoffs for the 5th time. He's been to 2 Super Bowls and won 1. Match that resume up against any former Eagles coach. You know how far back you have to go to have somebody that was along the lines of that? Greasy Neal, who coached the Eagles in 48 and 49 back-to-back championships. Andy Reid wasn't able to do it. Dick Vermeil wasn't able to do it. Doug Peterson, I mean, while his teams went to the playoffs and he won a Super Bowl, he barely eked out 9 wins after that Super Bowl year. Whatever Nick is doing, that philosophy is working. And the players are bought into it. Now, you want to argue Patullo may or may not be a professional offensive coordinator. Okay. Is it his best buddy that have went from team to team as they went along? Yes. Did he give him a shot? Yes. Is he letting him down? Possibly. But some of it is really it's execution on the field. And I don't see the offensive line, the running backs executing. And I also don't see somebody like an AJ Brown executing. And
I was just going to lead into that. Like you can, like me, when I'm trying to evaluate Kevin Patullo, it's hard because of the injuries. And you're like, well, you got to call with who's out there. I get that. But I would complain more about Kevin Patullo on the execution or on the penalties and stuff like that, not because of the injuries and on the play calling. How many plays have we seen AJ Brown not run out? You know what I mean? Or take a play off that would have resulted. The first play of the entire season, it was a deep ball that was overthrown by AJ Brown, or from Jalen Hurts to AJ Brown, or maybe he didn't even throw it. I don't know. AJ Brown was wide open deep on the first play of the season, but it was AJ Brown not running the route out all the way, and that's a problem. So it's the finer details that worry me more about Kevin Patullo than the actual play calling. How can you fully evaluate a guy like Kevin Patullo when the players are playing the way they are, when the players are missing, because of injuries and stuff like that? You don't really know. The penalties are still what gets to me, because that's coaches forcing fundamentals on players. And I don't understand it, because Nick Sirianni preaches fundamentals since day one in 2021. That's all he cares about. No turnovers, no penalties. Well, his team is creating a lot of penalties, and that's a big issue.
It is a big issue. I look at, going back to A.J. Brown, like I saw a little bit of this in 2023 too, and I saw some of this even last year. Like, they run these routes like directly into the chest of their D-backs, and then once that's there, they kind of just like stop the route. And you go back and look at the film, okay? I look at this as A.J. Brown, to equate this into the corporate world, is a salesperson. And the offensive playbook is the product he has to sell. And he doesn't believe in the product. Therefore, he half-asses it at times when he doesn't believe in it. And that's a problem. Like, is it an AJ problem because he should be believing in what's being sold? Or is it a Patullo Sirianni problem where they got to spice it up a little bit? I don't know. You can have the simplest offense as long as you can execute on it. I don't see what the problem is. I think football teams, and again, I'm harking this back to my corporate world. This term that I've been using lately is over-analysis paralysis. And sometimes you just got to simplify things, and the answers are right there. Like, you don't have to go so deep in this stuff. Like run an offense that works for these wide receivers. Run the routes. Like, have Smitty go long, have AJ cut on the slants, and have Dallas Goedert be an outlet. I mean, like, I think it's kind of that simple. and I don't think we see enough of that. Like I would be hitting AJ on slants all day long. If your running game isn't going to work, then I would be running those slants as 8-7 yard slants all day long until they stop it. And then when they finally go to try to stop it, then you hit them with the run game. I don't get it sometimes, and it's just what you want to do versus what is being done are two different things, and the players have to execute with what is being put out there, and I don't see enough of that from this team.
And K1, you're right. The offensive line. We talk about the offensive line for the run game. It's offensive line for the pass game as well. How much of this is? I truly, fully believe, outside of the penalty issue this year, that the offensive line issue is what is holding the offense back, and it's not going to change this week. The offensive line is still not healthy. Cam's going to play. Landon's going to play. Lane is not. Fred Johnson was a dumpster last week filling in for Lane Johnson. And look, Jordan Mailata, even if it wasn't injuries, Jordan Mailata said it himself, and he hasn't played as well as he has in the past. How everyone focuses on the running back after the big season, and no one thinks about how much that wears down the offensive line. So while Jordan Mailata is not hurt, he's still feeling the effects just like Saquon from last year's season. So you can't evaluate, you can't figure out, you can't run, all these fancy passing concepts if your offensive line is not going to protect for Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts has to go through progressions to make people happy. When the line's crashing down on him, what is he supposed to do? Luckily for us against the Bears, they don't have much of a pass rush. So it might be a little bit easier. They don't have, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson's been there for like 2 weeks, and I think he's second on the team in sacks, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, already with 3. So that's not good when a guy's been there for
safety,
2 weeks and 2 weeks, and he's got the second most sacks on the team. But anyway, it's really the offensive line, and part of that's on Howie Roseman, part of that's on Jeff Stoutland, part of that's on Kevin Patullo. Everybody's to blame here for the offensive line struggles. But I've been saying since week 1, they shouldn't have ever put Landon Dickerson out there week 1 after the surgery. They should have rested Cam Jurgens a little bit more to get him right. Lane Johnson, even before he got hurt, I think there was 3 straight games that he came out for half the game because of, nicks and bruises. These guys need to get healthy. The problem is nobody has stepped up to give these guys the opportunity to get healthy. And they're playing, through these injuries.
I'll say this from a roster standpoint. this past draft, Howie Roseman drafted virtually all defensive players.
Yep.
And listen, the defense is good for that. You know, they've had a nice 2 seasons under Fangio, and they brought home a Super Bowl title. Beautiful. By doing that, though, it's neglected the offensive side of the ball, particularly the offensive line.
Absolutely.
I think without a doubt, regardless of how strong or weak the draft is for offensive linemen, you're gonna see a multitude of folks get drafted, probably in the guard and right tackle positions, especially, and you're gonna see that. And you know, I remember when Andy Reid came. And that was his philosophy, was build on the line, particularly the offensive line. And it's not sexy to draft like a guy like that, but it's the truth. Like if and you know how much disdain I have for Andy Reid, but you know the one thing he really nailed is you got to have an offensive line if you want to have an offense, and it's the truth. And we're going by like just our reputation right now over the course of years, and it's not really showing what we're actually doing on the field. The reputation is not matching. Now, again,
I've said this. I said this. We talked about it a little bit on Wednesday's show, and I've said it a few times. Howie did not have his best offseason. Obviously, the draft, getting Drew Makuba, who's now out for the next 4 weeks, and Jihaad Campbell. You know, eventually that's great. But I mean, you got Ty Robinson, another defensive player. Can't get on the field. Mac McWilliams can't get on the field. All the offensive linemen he did draft late or pick up as undrafted free agents, the Holland Pierces, the Cam Williams, none of them have panned out. You know, he really hampered the depth of the offensive line by not having his best offseason. I know I'm not bashing Howie. I'm just saying, hey, even the best can have a down year, and he definitely had a down year getting away from that philosophy. There's a big difference drafting Landon Dickerson in the second round, Cam Jurgens in the second round, and picking up, you know, Holland Pierce as an undrafted free agent. There's a huge gap there. And then Howie, I think, wanted to draft other players, but he just misread. For the first time in a while, he misread how the draft board was going to fall. There were a couple guards and tackles. I think he won it in the second, third round. He couldn't make the deal for them. And I think that's where we ended up. And here we are with Brett Toss of the world, the Matt Pryors of the world, and whatnot. And that's why we're where we are.
Yeah,
Hit Pierce, Williams, Keegan, all those names were supposed to be guys to develop by Jeff.
Yeah, and it, coupled with letting virtually all the free agents walk, it's a problem. Like 2020 hindsight, like this is on the defensive side. Like Isaiah Rodgers was like, if you're going to bring anybody back, they really need to bring him back, especially if they're not sold on Ringo. And they let him walk, and honestly, he would be a really good fit right now on this team. You know, Becton, you know, he would have solidified the line a little bit better. Again, it would be year 2 in the system for him. But again, like, where do they want to allocate this money? And they have some guys that are coming up as free agents, Jordan Davis. Who else? I mean, Carter's going to come
Carter,
up.
Nolan Smith.
But, they're going to want to lock those guys up. And it's the truth. You can't sign everybody, but I got to be real. You have a really, and I think you still do have a really, really good shot of going back-to-back Super Bowl wins.
Absolutely.
And I would have. I mean, it's not my paycheck. It's not my. It's not my budget. But I would have went all in this year to go back-to-back, because that hasn't been done in a bit. And
it's difficult to go back and back. And yes, Rick, I do know Becton's been banged up this year. It doesn't mean he would have gotten banged up on the Eagles. But the difference is, last year you had Becton, and your first guy off the bench was a blue chip prospect in Tyler Steen that could play multiple positions. This year, Tyler Steen, he's playing very solidly at right guard, Tyler Steen. But then you go from when you need a 6th guy, you had Steen. Now your 6th guy is Toth or Pryor. There's a big difference between Steen, Toth, and Pryor, and that's where he went wrong there. Yeah, maybe Becton's healthy, maybe he's not for us. Who knows? But Howie definitely missed on a lot of offensive linemen right now. And yeah, the offensive line coach, you know, obviously, Nooms tried to fix how I'm going to say his last name, but Pagniti or whatever. TJ. We'll just call him TJ. He was also the run game specialist last year as well. and Jeff Stoutland's taken that over from him as well this year. So there's definitely, and I saw your comment here, Nooms, that Dickerson and Jurgen should have sat that second Giants game. We sat on this show and chatted about that. I agree. And I thought he should have sat those games, or that game. That was the game before the bye. You get a longer stretch. You also lost Ben Van Sumeren, who you were focusing your offense and your run game around him as well. And I don't think you hear panic today, Rick. I don't. There's no panic at all. We're just trying to figure out how to get the team moving in the right direction. If you want to sustain, you have to keep hitting. That's not easy. Jerry Reese got the Giants a Super Bowl with his 2007. Look, anyway, the offense is still an issue, obviously. But we are, as Rick said, 8-3. We are still sitting pretty at this point. How much do you think that, like, the A.J. Brown drama and the way that's played out has affected the offense taking a step forward? Because to take a step forward, not only do you have to be healthy, not only do you have to execute, but you all got to be on the same page as well. And obviously there is a distraction. It doesn't seem like the locker room has, like, they all say the right things. It sounds like they're painting a picture that they're not fractured or anything like that. But there still is a distraction. Distractions are bad for sports, whether it's questions from the media, social media noise from the fans, whatever it may be. Do you think the distraction is also part of the problem?
Somewhat.
Somewhat.
I think, and listen, you can attest to this, owning the pizza parlor with your wife. You guys didn't work the same shifts often. If you did, hey, more power to you. I've worked
every day together.
Okay. All right. But, and most days we're working with a spouse, a girlfriend, boyfriend. I worked with my best friend, my sister, and my wife. She wasn't my wife at the time. All different jobs at different points in my life. And I can tell you my relationships with those folks were wildly different than they are today. And it had a lot had to do with the work ethic, how much we were being paid versus each other, shifts and things like that. It created some under the radar animosity. And AJ may have came here, oh, great, I'm going to play with my best friend. And then realized, well, his best friend is already entrenched as the guy here, where, he's different than he was in college or, growing up or whatever. And, it affects the relationship. And whether you like it or not, like, they always say you should never, like, work with family members or friends because it could ruin relationships. And I think that is really part of what's going on here. Hey, I'm glad he's here because he's a phenomenal player. But if he can't get over the fact that Jalen Hurts is the guy here, and he can't get over the fact that Devontae Smith was already here before he got here and is a damn fine football player, then maybe he needs to go play for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't know. I mean, he could. I'm trying
send him to Siberia.
Yeah, I'm not trying to be like a jerk about it, but like, and I know he suffered with some mental stuff, and I applaud him for being out in the open with that. But like, this is a team sport, and you can't be like going out on social media, going out to the media and sending out these cryptic messages that everybody runs with. And what ends up happening is you got the rest of the team that have to answer for what AJ just said or did. And that's not fair to the rest of the team. And that's what I see what he's doing. And he needs to roll that back. And I believe they had a meeting that said no more of this. So hopefully we don't see any more of that. But it is what it is.
Yeah, guys, there's no way we only have 9 likes. There's 18 people watching and only 9 likes, guys. Hit that like button, subscribe button, and share button, please. I greatly appreciate it. Go ahead. Sorry, what were you going to say?
I don't remember.
Anyway, it's not just offense. Let's talk defense. Obviously, the defense has had some ups and downs as well. Let's be honest. All the hate that the Eagles offense is getting. I mean, the Eagles defense is still the 20th ranked defense in football. They still give up a lot of yards. They hold teams to field goals, which is great and stuff like that. But obviously, there's some injury issues as well. Reed Blankenship will be playing today, but we all assumed he was not. So hopefully, he's not being rushed back. Too soon. Obviously, Drew Makuba is out, which means we are going to see Sidney Brown start today. You're going to have issues with Dory Jackson. He's going to play, but another quick concussion last week. So you might see some Keely Ringo. You might see some Michael Carter out there. You might see a little things. But the Eagles' defense, any thoughts on the Eagles' defense on why maybe they're not having the elite season that we expected? Because let's be honest, the Eagles' defense was one of the best defenses in football last year. And outside of that 2-week stretch against the Packers and Lions, they've given up some big gaping holes in their defense this year.
Like, what are they points per game?
They're eighth in points per game, the defense. That is their one bright spot. They're 20th total, 22nd against the pass, 18th against the rush, 8th in points given up.
I mean, like, if they pitch a shutout or have single digits, they could be under 20 a game. Yeah. That's how do you measure the team for wins and losses? Is points. They don't give up points. I mean, that's kind of pretty good. Yep. And the yardage stuff might be a little, I guess, skewed, especially if from a passing perspective, because one, we know the secondary isn't good. Two, if and I have to go back to look at all the games more of that, but if all these teams are playing from behind, they abandoned the running game in the second half and they're throwing the ball, and maybe they get some garbage touchdowns here or there, so it skews the numbers. So I don't look as close into the yards per game points. That's
my philosophy for the last 2 weeks, focusing on the points given up or the points scored. So
leaving the Lions, like who can score at will. What was the score of that game? I don't even remember. Was it like 13-9 or something like that?
16-9, I think that was. Yeah.
Dude, that's a kind of
10-7 against the Packers or whatever that was.
Yeah, that's kind of a big deal, especially you see like the Packers yesterday that they were pouring it on to Dallas, and not Dallas. Who the hell were they playing? The Lions. Yeah, they were pouring it on to the Lions. I mean, and look, well, we for both teams, like we held them both to like single digits, like so that means something to me. Like when pushes comes to shove, like they're not going to allow the other team to score, but like discipline is so important, and protecting
and that concerns me because you've got a ref crew that loves to call defensive pass interference, defensive holding, defensive offsides. You got an offense of the Bears that does like to sling the ball around. Caleb Williams, he's a sub 60% completion percentage. It was actually lower than that going into last week. He had one of his best games last week against the Steelers that got it up to 59%. But, they got two solid wide receivers. They got a well-balanced team, a young tight end, good running backs and stuff. Like, I worry with Reed Blankenship banged up, with Sidney Brown as your starting safety today. They did elevate Andre Sam from the practice squad, if you guys don't know that, and Patrick Johnson. I worry about the fact that you've got, a banged up secondary, and you're going up against a team that's going to throw the ball a lot today. And it does lead another concern because this team has not been disciplined this year. They're ripe to make mistakes today. Couldn't care less about what happens between the 20s. Yeah, as long as they don't score, I agree. Yeah. Should have had me on the show. I wasn't having anybody on the show. I got a text message 5 minutes, Rick, before the show started. Two birds. Yes, I'll be tuning in for the post-game show tonight. The Packers are frauds. I don't know who's a fraud in that NFC North right there.
I don't know. I think the Packers tying against the Cowboys. That's a problem. I think I think it's going to be a problem for Dallas, and it's going to be a problem for Green Bay when it comes to seeding or getting in. So, hey, tough. They should have played for the win. I was arguing that they should have been playing for the win because that game was going to be really important, both sides. And they didn't. Going back to Caleb Williams, in modern NFL today, being under 60% completion, that's really bad, Phil.
It's really bad.
That's I'm happy that like Hurts is like in like 64, 65, I think. But even that's like slightly above average. Like being in 59%, like that's mid 80s football.
Yeah,
that's not, and that was.
That gets you in the Hall of Fame in the 80s.
It's the truth. It's the truth, man. Like it. That's not. I don't see that as being good. I don't know what to think of Caleb Williams.
I've always been very harsh on him, saying he's not an not a good NFL quarterback. He's doing okay this year. He's turning my head a little bit. I love this comment because Quinion is very handsy, and this ref is known for calling handsy stuff on DBs. It is something I've been thinking about for like 2 or 3 days now, that you're going to see a James Bradbury-esque penalty against Quinion Mitchell called in a big moment of the game. And that's the refs affecting the outcome of the game. We hate it, but, there's a lot of missed calls on Quinion Mitchell every single week. Yeah, they're going to throw right at Dory Jackson, considering the fact that I'm shocked that he even practiced this week. The way he slammed his helmet down last week after getting injured in that moment, I thought he was done for a while, and he's back out there this week. I'm shocked.
Yeah, dude, I got to be real. Like, I don't know if he ever had a concussion, but
yeah,
he's undefeated. Wait a second. He's undefeated against the North.
Yeah, we have never lost to the NFC North. Didn't you hear? This was talked about the last time we played them. It was the Lions game. Nick Sirianni has never lost to the Bears, Lions, Vikings, or Packers since he coached the Eagles. So,
are you sure? I thought they lost against the Vikings.
We've never lost to the NFC North under Nick Sirianni.
Yeah, now that you've posted that, they're going to lose today. Thank you.
Well, we've been posting this since
Juju.
We posted this against the Vikings, we posted it against the Lions, and we posted it against the Packers. It's nothing new. Yeah, look, I'm not worried about Dallas, Rick. Dallas is in their typical middle of the season hot stretch to keep them in the conversation circle with the media, to keep Jerry Jones making money. But the Cowboys aren't going to win. Not when it matters. Yes, Todd. DJ Moore is a good wide receiver. So is their rookie, what's his name? I forget his name. The rookie guy that they drafted, the young guy, Oduze or Zunde. I forget his name.
Odunze.
Odunze. Yeah. He's really good. They got Colston Loveland, a tight end Eagles fans want it. DeAndre Swift, a really strong running back. They got an offense. Fangio shuts down Williams today. Bank it. The one thing I'll say with the incompletion percentage, for some reason, when I went to do stat research, I expected Caleb Williams to have like 25, 30 sacks. He's been sacked less than 2 times a game. He does not take a lot of sacks. He doesn't turn the ball over much either, all things considered. So, so if they shut him down, it's just going to be because they bat balls down and stuff like that, not because he's going to make mistakes, because Caleb Williams seems to protect the ball pretty well overall. Jerry Jones took a page out of Howie's book and strengthened the middle at a time the Eagles' offense middle is struggling. That is true. Still long live Jerry Jones. Eagles win by double digits today. We'll get to my score prediction in a little bit here, Rick, but you might be surprised at what my score is. We could have Ringo out there. Why can't Jacorian Bennett get a snap? What did Jacorian Bennett do wrong that Vic Fangio won't trust him 1 second? I'm always sure about stats. Yeah, no, I know. Bucks never lost under 40 degrees.
Yeah, dude. I was at that game. Don't bring that up.
This guy is a Debbie Downer. What? I guess you're a Debbie Downer, according to Rick. Oh man. Those players know how to cheat the concussion protocol as long as it's not a serious, full dilated pupils. Well, that's not good. Well, if that's the case, that's not good.
And that's what I was going to say. Like, Phil, I don't know if you ever had a concussion.
I have.
Or your bell rung. You don't quite bounce back 100% by the next week. It just not even like a mild concussion. It just it's bad, dude. It's bad. He's probably still nauseous. Yeah. Probably not seeing straight, but let's get some smelling salts and go out there and play football.
Yeah, I'm just shocked that he's playing today. But again, what other options do you have? They won't let Jacorian Bennett out there. Keely Ringo's terrible. Cooper Dejean got smoked when he slid to the outside last week against in that game. So the secondary's got some issues this week. Stop. You're just as negative. Whenever I bring up AJ Brown, you get really negative, Rick. So it's okay. Is this system that's not ideal? Oh, you're talking about Jacorian Bennett. Concussion, just need 5 Tylenol. Is that what it takes?
Jesus.
I don't know. I don't know if that's good or bad at all. What do you make? I want to get your thoughts on this other part of the defense because I love it. I think it's probably one of the most difficult decisions that's going to be on Howie Roseman's plate. And you heard Vic Fangio talking about it this week because he was asked about it, and that's Nakobe Dean. because Nakobe Dean, I wasn't even sure if Nakobe Dean was going to play this year because that injury that he sustained last year, that's career-ending type injury right there. And not only has he come back this year, he's come back and stolen the job from a guy that at the time was the favorite to win Defensive Rookie of the Year. Now Jihaad Campbell last week played 11 snaps on defense, the lowest he's played all year long. And Vic Fangio said this week that's going to continue to go down because you just can't take Nakobe Dean off the field. What do the Eagles do with the linebacker situation? And how awesome is it that Nakobe Dean, facing all this adversity, has been able to come back and put together an amazing season so far?
Yeah, he's one of the leaders on the defense. And I've been a critic of his since he's arrived.
Tell me the opposite. I've been a major proponent of him since day one.
I said, like, last season, I said I don't think he makes it out of training camp, and he did, and he was a force, and then he blew his knee out or whatever, the Patullo, whatever. I don't even remember what the hell it was. And he was just, what was it?
Patella tendon.
Patel. Okay. And he didn't play obviously in the Super Bowl, and he's come back from a pretty serious injury. He's played very well, and now he's going to go into free agency, and you have Campbell there. So how is that make a decision? Like, are we going to keep the Kobe? How do
you let him go?
Well, you let him go because if you look at his overall resume here, he's underperformed. In my opinion,
I think he's overperformed personally.
I maybe there was a lot of expectations when he was first drafted, but I thought he couldn't stay. He was having trouble staying on the field early in his career.
That's absolutely correct.
He obviously hit his stride last season, but then he had a pretty devastating injury. Or he's worked his way back from it, and he's having a good season. But, like, do you gamble and sign him to a long-term contract when you have Campbell behind him, or do you let him walk?
Tough call. Yeah, I mean, the only downfall in Nakobe Dean's career from his draft to now, and guys, there's over 20 people watching. Guys, hit that like button. Subscribe if you have not. Drop your comments on today's Eagles-Bears Black Friday game as well. The only downfall of his career so far has been availability. He's missed time. He missed time in college at Georgia as well, I believe. He had injuries there as well. Nakobe Dean, I say this with all due respect from Zach Bond, but Nakobe Dean was having as good of a season as Zach Bond last year before the injury. Literally as good of a season. And then he took that injury. I say this, again, with all due respect. He'd be wearing the captaincy this year, not Zach Bond, on that defense if he didn't get hurt last year. That's how big of a part of this defense he is. He's literally the leader of this defense, and you can't just toss that away. You got to find a way to convince him to stay, but then you have three linebackers, and you don't need three linebackers. So I don't know what you do in that situation. Yes, Todd, he's a very intelligent player as well. Very, very, very smart. It's crazy. What do we got here? Anyone agree that the NFL refs seem to be favoring the Cowgirls? Look, there's every week more and more narratives on the refs. Look, there's agendas with officiating crews. I hate to say it, but it's hard not to at least slightly believe this, right? I mean, how can you not believe that there's agendas pushed to these referees? I mean, it's a shame.
There is.
But it is.
Phil, I've said this 1,000 times. The NFL makes sure that certain they don't outright say you got to make the Cowboys win. They analyze these refs and they assign these refs to certain games so it can skew the outcome to where they want it to be. I firmly believe that, and I think they've done that for a long time right now. And you've seen it in the NBA. I mean, like with the gambling thing that's going on there's some things that leaked out that's what the NBA does. So you gotta kind of work through that. But and listen, I am, as much as I hate the Cowboys, I'm super glad the Chiefs lost on a national stage. I hate that quarterback, that tight end, that ownership,
coach,
and especially that head coach. So
I know
I
you
am
do.
thrilled that these guys are teetering on not making the playoffs.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy. I really just thought that they would. But, you talk about narratives and wanting the Cowboys to be good again, just to at least give them a chance for ratings. You would think the NFL would still want the Chiefs to be in the big game. And the narrative would be to keep the Chiefs from falling out. Because whether you love it or not, whether you hate it or not, the Taylor Swift narrative is good for money. Because the NFL is a multi-billion-dollar business. Money is all that really matters. Keeping the Cowboys in it matters because of money. Keeping the Eagles fans pissed off is good for money. The Chiefs with Taylor Swift, what was I listening to? I was listening to two females talk on a podcast about Taylor Swift and her effect. Or maybe it was the Kelsey podcast, and they had two female athletes on it. I forget who I was listening to the other day. And they were just talking about how many dads are getting to watch football with their daughters now because of Taylor Swift. How many daughters are interested in the Chiefs now in football because of Taylor Swift is. So money-wise, you would think if there was that much of a narrative, they would want the Chiefs in the playoffs again.
I think also there's a little bit of overexposure. Like it's like, oh my God.
Oh, absolutely.
Here's the Chiefs.
Is there such thing as overexposure? Can you get overexposure from Swifties though? They'll
I'll ask my daughter when she.
Yeah, there's no such thing as overexposure to the Swifties. Okay, that they will live and die with that girl.
Listen. Taylor Swift is big in my house. She must have released an album or something over the summer. I come home from work, and there's like all these people in my house, and I'm like, what's going on? They're like, oh, we're having a cookout outside and whatnot, and we're staying up late. There's an album release.
Yeah,
and like it was like their Super Bowl.
Yeah,
they were like tailgating and everything. So it was like, yeah. But I don't. Honestly, they're not going to get Taylor Swift to do halftime shows.
No, they never will.
She's not going to do that. So
no, not at all.
And I think the minute they've realized that maybe this team has lost a step, they're on to the next team. Yeah. And is it a Cowboy resurgence? I don't know. I think they like to tease the Cowboys to the point where make them look like, oh, they're the team to beat, and let them get in the playoffs and just fail miserably, because that's what they do. Yeah. And it's a real. I mean, most of America enjoys that.
Yeah,
to see that. So
I want to address this from Warfighter just before, and make sure he doesn't jump. Make sure you subscribe, buddy, and make sure you like. We do this every single morning. I think there's a difference between refs and the gambling and the refs pushing a league narrative. I do. Both are happening. Both refs are rigging games for betting purposes. We know that. We see that. But the ones that are rigging games are different than the ones that are just, oh, the NFL wants the Cowboys to be good. All right, we'll call a game this way. They're both happening. They're both wrong. But I think they're both completely different situations. And I'll say this, Mark, because we haven't done a show together in a while, and I really wanted to get you on like a month ago when the NBA scandal and all that kind of stuff was dropping, because I know how adamant you've been about sports betting and gambling and stuff like that. And we've always seen different sides of it. I've looked at the business side of it as a business owner. But even Mark, I'm betting less. I might throw $2 parlay on the Eagles game just for shits and giggles. I might throw a little sprinkle for Thanksgiving so we could talk around Thanksgiving dinner. But that's a far cry from the 15 bets every Sunday, the basketball bets and parlays throughout the week, the betting that I used to do to what I'm doing now. I mean, you can't doubt that there's an integrity issue in sports right now.
I think there's been an integrity issue in sports
for
a long time.
Yep.
But they were able to float it under the radar. Okay, fine. Then they got in bed with Las Vegas, and they got in bed with these betting apps, and the lines are completely blurred. And honestly, like it's like being with the mafia. Like they owe things to these betting companies now. Like they're giving the revenue for the ad revenue or whatever it is, or maybe even getting a cut of some of the bets. Geez, I don't know. Yeah. I think it's really, really bad. And it should have, like, there was a line in the sand. Like they would never have professional sports franchises in Las Vegas. Anytime college football was played in Vegas, I think you couldn't have a bet on those teams. But like all that shit is going out the window, and we're worse for it as a sporting culture and a society. I think gambling is one of the worst addictions that somebody could have. And people say, well, it's a victimless thing. It's not. Like,
it's not a victimless thing, and I know that. And I want to counter something that you said there, because you're saying all this stuff, but it's not like all that stuff you just described wasn't happening before it was legalized, Mark. It was happening in a more dangerous way. I mean, I had I'm an Italian. I had an Italian guy, that used to come collect my bets and stuff like that. I'm sure you knew guys that took bets and was a runner and stuff like that. Us paisans, we all know a guy, right? And it was a lot more dangerous in that aspect than it was once it got legalized as well. So there was good things in that aspect.
But what it does is it takes a vice and makes it, now that it's legal, it's okay, but it's still a bad vice. Same thing with like alcohol and beer ads. Like, it's a vice. Again, alcohol is worse than anything. Mm-hmm. But you think, oh, it's advertised and people are smiling in these commercials, or you got famous people endorsing these products. It's okay. It's not, and it really takes a disciplined person to like stay away from it. You know how hard it's been for me to just not download one of these apps and do exactly what you're saying. $2 a bet will turn into $5 a bet, that turns into $50, that turns in now I owe $5,000 on my credit card because I don't have any impulse control. And that's what's happening. And it's not good. It's just not good to mix this stuff in. And it's really, I think it's a big mistake. And you see it in baseball now, like where they're talking about eliminating prop bets in baseball
and in basketball as well.
Yeah, because of the control in this. Let
me ask you a question about this, because you would think that what happened in baseball with the Indians pitchers and what happened with the NBA with Terry Rozier recently, and obviously there's the poker game situation, which was different but kind of linked and stuff like that. I keep feeling to myself that there's got to be a bigger name involved. Like, there's no way that Terry Rozier is. I was just gonna say that he might be one of the names. There's got to be bigger names involved. Otherwise, I mean, it does. The amount of money that they're talking about, the gambling, the winning, the losing, the money that's being put up, it doesn't make sense that there's not a bigger name. And we don't talk politics on this show, but I feel like what's going to happen first? We're going to see the bigger name in basketball or the Epstein list get revealed. Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like this is just going to be drug out for so long, and we're just never going to know.
I think LeBron is involved. I mean,
I don't think that that's a crazy statement. I don't.
Listen, look at him. He endorse a betting app?
Yeah,
which drives me nuts because he's still a current player, and he did this. He was going to do a new announcement. Do you remember that? And it turned out to be for a liquor company. Yeah, and like you have $1 billion. Why do you need to do this stuff? Why do you want to associate yourself with these? This is why I don't like LeBron.
It's money. It's all money. It's all money.
I think he's a scumbag. He does some really nice things for his community and stuff like that. But I think overall, I think he's a scumbag player, and I think he's a scumbag when it comes to his endorsements and how he trots things out with announcements. I really do. I think he's a scumbag, and I don't like him. I'd rather him be more like Michael Jordan. I mean, he's not somebody that drinks. He's a big time gambler.
He's amazing. You want to talk about gambling?
But he doesn't promote it.
No offense. I wouldn't be shocked if they said Michael Jordan was throwing games because of bets at some point in his career. Like, he was that big of a bettor back in his day. Like, there was talk even in the 80s, him dropping millions of dollars per round of golf on a golf course.
Well, yeah, I think that's an open secret. And then this conspiracy is his father was killed because of gambling debts, and that's why he had to go away for a little bit.
Yes, so absolutely.
I don't know, but I do know, like, the caliber of those types of players. Like, once they leave the game, they need that itch, they need that action, and where is that action and itch? Is gambling. Yeah, gambling on a golf course. Going to the horse races. at the casino. I mean, Barkley is a degenerate gambler, and he comes out and says that he is.
Yeah.
It's
okay for them once they're done playing sports. Like, it doesn't bother me as much. But what bothers me is these guys taking these bets. Like you said, I mean, they're making how much money? Like the Indians pitcher guy, Clase or whatever his name is, that was involved. Like, the dude's getting paid $5,000 to throw a pitch or to tip somebody on a pitch. Like, the dude's making $30 million a year. Like, why do you need to take $5,000 payments for? Like, are you that hard up for money that you got to do this?
But and here's the thing, Phil. Like, when the basketball thing went down, Terry Rozier, I want to say he made like $30 or $40 million lifetime.
No, his lifetime earnings are over $100 million.
It was $100 million. It was a big
his most recent contract was like 3 years, $90-some million. So yeah,
okay. And then Chauncey Billups, like how much money has he made in his career? And he's a professional NBA coach. Yep. Like, what are you doing with your fucking money that you got to nickel and dime stuff here? Like, I don't get it, dude. Especially when you come from nothing.
Yeah.
I don't know, dude. If money dropped in my lap, and I don't think it'll ever drop in my lap, I would be super conservative with it, and I ain't gonna fuck with it because like I'm gonna let it grow very conservatively, and I'm not because I've gotten something that I've never thought that I would get. I really, in my heart of hearts, believe I would never be greedy. And my biggest flaw would be I would end up giving it all away to people who are even less fortunate than me.
Mm-hmm.
So,
there's talk about, rich people not having enough. They have no clue how to invest it. I can't remember. It's just like literally something that, I wasn't prepared for this conversation today, but there was an ESPN 30 for 30, I think, or like an ESPN documentary.
It's called Bro.
Yeah, about the athletes. Like, what was the one NBA player? I think he played for the Celtics and Heat. He had to go to Puerto Rico. He had $100 million in earnings. He was playing for $200 a game, in Puerto Rico. There was also the wide receiver for the Falcons that his garage, had his house burnt down with all his cars in it, but didn't have insurance. Like they try to make us feel bad for these guys, these millionaires going broke. And I'm just thinking about that. Like, are we this incompetent when we get that kind of money?
I got to be honest with you, and you mentioned let's not get into politics, but quasi-politics, like it's, what do they call it? End stage capitalism. And like, when is enough? Yeah. And it's like, you can't keep extracting wealth from the bottom of the bin. And like, I don't know, like our society is really broken right now as a whole. And this is a small part of it. This gambling piece. I mean, gambling's always been around, but it's been rationalized and made okay by legalized betting and these apps that are on the friggin' phone. Like you don't have to drive to Atlantic City anymore. You don't have to fly to Vegas to bet on a football game. You don't have to do that. You don't
have to get your kneecaps broken by a guy that wants to get paid, Yeah,
and dude, and there's still a market for that type of
Absolutely.
And there'll always be, because it's not so much the bet. It's all right. You lose the bet, now you got to pay me the interest 2% every week, and you never get the principal paid off. You're constantly in debt to somebody who's, if you don't pay them, they'll take out your kneecaps or worse. Yeah. And there will always be a market for that. There will always be a guy at the end of the bar with the marble copybook there to take your bet. And I'm not exaggerating. I mean,
I know. I've been there. I've been in that situation, before.
As have I. And I just think rationalizing it by getting in bed with these companies is just, it's ruined sports. It really has. And you've seen some of these players come on social media and say how they're getting threatened with DMs. I even see it with my son. My son's in these basketball leagues, this basketball fantasy football. And I keep asking him, dude, are you playing for money or is it just for fun? And so far he said it's for fun, but like eventually it's when he has money in his pocket, him and his buddies are going to throw a couple dollars on it. And
you just got to teach him to be responsible about it.
Yeah, it's not great. It really isn't. And making it so accessible
Mhm.
to people, especially with an addictive personality,
Mhm.
and putting it on your phone. And listen, social media and smartphones have been one of the best and one of the worst inventions in my lifetime.
Mhm.
Because you have everything on your phone. I mean, that's
Mhm.
great. And then you have everything on your phone, which is not so great. And it just makes things too easy. Too
Yep.
easy.
All right, let's get off
Yeah.
that. Let's get back to Eagles here. Obviously, Eagles, Bears, Black Friday. I want to touch on a couple things, and I want to get into the keys to the game. And let's talk. Let's get down to predicting this game. But first, obviously, Black Friday, all black uniforms today from the Eagles. Love the idea. Love the black helmets. I wish they would rock the black helmets more frequently. Also, Malcolm Jenkins is being honored at halftime today, and being put. I think he's being put in the Eagles. What is the circle of their
I
Hall of
think they
Fame?
call it the Eagles Hall of Fame. I
Yeah,
think.
they call it the Eagles. For some reason, I thought it was the Ring of Honor. So I don't know. Anyway, they're honoring Malcolm Jenkins, all black. They're inviting the fans to wear all black today. The first ever blackout at the link. Are you gonna be rocking black today for the Eagles game?
I don't have any Eagles black stuff. I'll probably just throw on either my Hertz or Kelly Green jersey, because that's how I roll. I might have a gray sweatshirt. Maybe I'll do gray and I'll wear black pants. How's that?
There you go. What the real question was, but what I really wanted to get to is Malcolm Jenkins and thinking about his legacy. I think he often gets forgotten. And he wasn't here for 10, 15 years like Brian Dawkins, but ultimately the main guy that replaced Brian Dawkins. That's a lot of pressure to be that next guy, after the legend like Brian Dawkins, Hall of Famer like Brian Dawkins. But I kind of feel like we forget that Malcolm Jenkins was a damn good football player here in Philadelphia for a very good period of time.
I agree. I think it's worthy that he makes the Eagles Hall of Fame. I think he's a future football Hall of Famer.
Really?
He was a pivotal role on 2 Super Bowl winners of organizations that, basically were under the impression that would never win Super Bowls, the Saints and the Eagles. And he was a pivotal piece on both. I think he's a future Hall of Famer. I think I thought he was a phenomenal football player, and I
Leader.
think a leader, and what he did in the community here, I think cannot be overlooked. And I don't know if he still has ties here, but I've seen him in and around. He's done speaking engagements. He's done going into communities and stuff like that. But I think he's a phenomenal Eagle. I think it's well deserved, and I think I think he could be a future Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I never really thought about him in the NFL Hall of Fame. I didn't really think about his career outside of his time in Philly. But I just think about the fact that, you go from Brian Dawkins to Malcolm Jenkins. I don't know if there's another guy in between there. I don't think it was immediately from B-Doc to Jenkins, but like that's big shoes to fill for anybody to come in and replace a legend, and he did it well. And I think, saying solid might even be like a massive understatement there. Like, I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, yeah, Jenkins could suit up today compared to what Sidney Brown is going to do out there. K1 says nowhere near the Hall of Fame.
I disagree, K1. I think he's in the talk. So like, I'm not saying it's going to be next year or anything like that, but like, I could see him getting in.
Yeah, I actually didn't even get a chance to do it. I already did up my MLB Hall of Fame ballot. I did see the ballot for the NFL Hall of Fame. I'll have to put that together and record that. I do have my MLB. I'll save that for a dead period next week. I'll go over my MLB Hall of Fame ballot with everybody. Eagles win today because they are the better team. Let's get down to it. The Eagles are the better team. The Bear, as injured as the Eagles are, the Bears are 10 times more injured. So how do the Eagles win today? And do they win today?
Yeah, I think they.
Oh, that's right. Quentin McKell and Nate Allen were in between Dawkins.
Hey,
Nate Allen was awful.
I had a lot of hopes for Nate Allen, and it just didn't work out. Quentin Michael, if I'm not mistaken, he was a neighbor of mine. He lived down where I'm at.
How do you not know if he was your neighbor or not? Like, he was either your neighbor or not.
He lived like next door to me. He lived like in Mullica Hill, if I'm not mistaken.
Gotcha. That's right. You Jersey people think neighboring towns are like neighbors and stuff like that.
Yeah, and it's okay. I'm saying he's Hall of Fame caliber. I think you can't overlook the fact that he was a major player on two teams that had never won Super Bowls before.
Yeah.
I really like shit like that matters, and
Mm-hmm.
and that's what I'm like trying to convey here is like there's a you got an argument with Malcolm Jenkins. What dude's a dick? Listen, he's very opinionated, and some of his opinions rub people the wrong way. So I would understand that.
The question for elephant in the room, though, is because I think elephant in the room might be arguably, and I don't know where this came from. He's the biggest Ridley Scott, hater in the world. Who's worse, Ridley Scott or Malcolm Jenkins? Elephant. That's the real question I have.
Ridley Scott's a pretty good director. What are you talking about?
He thinks he's the worst director of all time. This person bashes Ridley Scott all the time. Nate Allen had range, and that was it. Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, to this game.
Yeah, I think they win today, and I think this is another game where they hold their opponent to like anywhere between like 9 and 13 points.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see the Bears doing much on offense against this defense today. I really don't. It's up to the Eagles offense. Like, are they going to win this game 10-9 or are they going to win this game 31-9? This is the opportunity for them to kind of break out of their shell a little bit from the offense, throw the ball down the field and run the ball when appropriate, and run it not just with Barkley. Like, I would like to see a split of 50-50 carries between Bigsby and Barkley, especially if Barkley has a bruised groin right now. So why just continue to feed him and only him? I think the Eagles are going to win this game. We're going to say probably like 24-10, and it'll be just enough to say, okay, their offense was moving, but not enough to wash away any fears on what the future may hold to this offense. And to your point, for both teams, like, injuries are hurting both squads. And bigger picture stuff, why did the Eagles win the Super Bowl last year? For the most part, they were injury free. This year, not so much. And it's knocked them down a peg or two. I think the Eagles win 24-10. I just don't think the Bears get anything moving on offense. I think our defense plays a hell of a game today.
And I agree. I got a different score prediction. I think the Eagles win. First off, you got to take into account it's going to be cold. This game, I think the Eagles win by double digits. My prediction will be a double-digit win for the Eagles. Not anything with the Bears. I don't think the Eagles' offense and passing game is going to drop 300 passing yards or anything like that. They're going to have to run. And I don't know about a 50-50 Barkley Bigsby split, but like Nooms, we've been talking all week, Earth, Wind, and Fire. We want to see not just a two-headed running game. We want to see a three-headed running game. You got to get everybody involved because Barkley, Tank, and Will Shipley all run different styles. And that's what we want to see, is them run different styles and find holes on this offensive line. With the linebackers all hurt for the Bears, we should be able to run this ball and run it effectively, even with our average offensive line. I mean, they give up almost 140 rushing yards a game, this defense, and you're missing 3 starting linebackers. If you can't get the ball going on the ground this week, you got a major problem. But the thing is, like, I still feel, even with all that, it's going to come down to a special teams play or a defensive play. I'm going to go 27-17 Eagles win this game. But I think the offense puts up 20 points max. And that's not a knock. I just think that's the way they're going to call the game. They're going to try to win the time of possession. They're going to try to run the football on first and second down and slow the pace down. You're not going to have 70 offensive plays or anything like that. Was it 2 weeks ago when it was really windy and they kept trying to force the throw, and Jalen kept coming up short on passes because the weather was affecting it? I think the weather affects this game as well, and you're going to see a very slow offense, not a bad offense, a slow offense. That's just how I see it. We got Rick saying Jalen Phillips 2 sacks, Hunt 2 sacks. That would be a lot of sacks.
That's not. So you mentioned sacks earlier, Phil. I looked up the stats on Williams. Last season, he was sacked 68 times.
Yep.
This year, 17 times.
Yep. He does not take sacks. Less than 2 a game this year.
Yeah. So he's figured out not to get sacked now.
And it's also probably why his completion percentage is so low, because he probably throws the ball away a lot. So that I mean, I would love to see 4 sacks from 2 guys today, Rick. I'm just saying it's not likely based off of what's happened to the Bears this year pretty frequently. We need a 3-for-3 day. Let's go Flyers. That's right. We do have all three teams.
Wait,
Last Sunday we had three.
Playing too?
Yeah, Sixers play tonight. Everybody is out for the Sixers again tonight. Joel, Paul George, VJ, all of them.
I know we're not talking Sixers, but when do they pull the plug on George and Embiid? I think it's pretty clear.
Why haven't they yet?
Yeah,
the question is, why haven't they yet? So
yeah,
I talked about it the other day. I feel bad for Tyrese Maxey, and I feel like the Sixers are going to waste Tyrese Maxey's career because of Joel Embiid and Paul George.
I don't think they're going to waste his career. I think he's in a win here because he's now the focal point of the team.
Right.
With him being the focal point of the team, what does that do for George and Embiid, especially Embiid?
Yeah.
If Embiid can't play basketball, then if he can't get on the court, I love the guy. I absolutely love the guy, but the guy's knees are shot.
Yeah.
And here's the thing with him is he initially said I wasn't going to come out and play right away.
Yep.
And what did he do? He came out
and played right away.
And now he's fucked up again. And shut him down until March.
Forever.
I mean, if it's that bad, if all he needs is time. And then Paul George, I don't even know what the hell's wrong with the guy. Why
he was going to play the other day, and then he wasn't going to play. It's
come
it's
on,
comical.
man. If you're hurt, you're hurt. But don't piss on my leg and tell me it's raining either. They're paying him both guys a lot of money to play basketball. If you can't play basketball, retire. If you don't want to play on the Sixers, where do you want to go? Because I'll trade you for a fucking bag of balls. And that's, I think, where we're at. And to just turn this team over to Maxey, because he's a hell of a lot more charismatic than the other players that are on this team. I love the kid. I absolutely love him.
But he's not a kid anymore. He's in his 7th NBA season now.
Oh, Maxey?
Yeah, 6th, 7th NBA season
he's not.
now.
He was drafted in 20. What's that? His 5th season.
Google it.
20 when he got drafted.
People brought this up the other day, and I brought it up. It's his 7th season, I think it is. 6th or 7th season. I'll bring it up again just to prove it. Tyrese Maxey on Google. Where's Basketball Reference? Why is it Basketball Reference?
And he's 25.
He's 25. This is season number 1, 2, 3, 4. This is season 6 for him. Season 6
fine.
for him.
He's fine. Yeah. He's got plenty of tread left on his tire.
Okay. Well, I'm not saying he doesn't, but I mean, technically, Maxey and Embiid are here for a couple more years. You know what I mean? So by the time they're gone, he's going to be 27, 28 years old. It's just crazy to think about it.
All right.
Paul George got his podcast going again. That's right. Yeah, look, anyway, Eagles game. Eagles win 27-17. I got the Eagles 27-17. I think there's going to be a defense or special teams touchdown again for the Eagles. Maybe Britton Covey, who's going to make his season debut. He's been added to the active roster. Just so you know, so that's a good thing. We won't have Xavier Gibson back there returning punts this week, which is a good thing. 27-17, but even despite the win, and Rick will hate hearing this, there'll be a lot of negative energy on sports talk because the offense isn't going to light the world on fire again. That's how I see it playing out. It's going to be a solid offensive performance. It's just not going to light the world on fire, and people are going to complain for another week that the offense just isn't right. That's just how I see it happening.
Yeah, that would be.
Covey would let the ball go into the end zone 100% on that punt last week.
I was like, if that ball goes in the end zone, that ball comes out to the 20. I mean, the Eagles can pretty much, run away with it.
Game's over.
That totally screwed everything up, man. Like, what are you fielding a ball at the? I don't even think it was at the 5. It
was at the 2-yard. He caught it at the 2-yard line.
And like, what are we doing? And then he fumbled it. Come on, man.
Yeah, hold on. Here. I brought this up, Warfighter, earlier this week. I've got it written down. In his career, Xavier Gibson has 38 touches of the football in a football game. He has fumbled 12 times out of those 38 touches. All right? I don't know what 12 in the 38 is, but it's not good. It's probably right around 35%. That's how bad Gibson is. The Jets cut him for fumbles, and the Eagles thought they'd fix it magically. It's how can you fumble the ball 12 out of 38 times and still have a job in the NFL?
I could do that. Like, get me out there and give me a prorated contract. I'll do that right now for you.
I'll fumble in a heartbeat for you. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I'll fumble all day long for you if you're okay with it.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Anyway, yes, to answer your question, Adam, from earlier, Of course, I'll be doing a watch party. I'll be live about, what's the game start today? 3 o'clock or 3:30? 3. So I'll be live about 2:45 today, Adam, for the entirety of the game. 100%. Could bring myself a nice big plate of cookies down here and sit here and watch some football with y'all. So yeah, make sure you guys are liking, subscribe, and doing your thing. But I will be live today for the entirety of the football game, as always. And yes, if you guys are awake, make sure you check out Rick's podcast tonight. I love when Rick's podcast is right after a game like this because it's perfect timing. So I love that. I love it. 3 p.m., man, perfect time for an unemployed guy like me. I can watch the game. I can still get to bed at a good time. I love it. I love it. Seriously, Sixers need to be transparent, at least about players not being transparent. I have a feeling we're going to see some fines towards the Sixers, actually, with how lack of transparent they are with injuries, especially the last game where everybody was going to play. You know, it was a national televised game, and then all of a sudden they didn't. They sold out that stadium because everybody was going to play. And I think there's going to be some investigation there.
It's a bigger problem, Noom. It's a league-wide problem with this quote-unquote load management. Yeah. Dude, because nobody was playing, I was able to go to a Sixers game when the Magic were in for $11 a piece.
Yep.
And it's now that they're starting to come down to earth a little bit, their tickets are going to start to fall again. Yep. You know, and just regarding the game this afternoon, so I could just put this out for all those that have moms and dads out there that maybe are in the senior citizen range. The game is on Amazon Prime, but the rule is it has to be on over the air so they can watch the game on Fox 29 this afternoon.
Yeah, and actually, and I don't know if there's a delay because, so I watch on YouTube TV everything normally. Mm-hmm. That's what I got, and there's a lag. So if you're watching on Xfinity and I'm watching on YouTube TV, I'm about 10 seconds behind. If you have Amazon Prime on your TV but don't have an account, they are streaming the game for free on Amazon Prime. So if you don't want a delay, there might be a slight delay from Prime to Fox. You can watch it on Prime for free. You don't have to have a Prime account to watch the game today. Just throwing that out there. But yeah, Fox, Amazon Prime today for the game, 3 o'clock. It's a complete kick in the nuts, for the fans. Absolutely. You know me, Mark, and I know with Big Ed, your dad, I'm
going to get a phone call about 2:30. Where's the game at?
Yeah, exactly. There's too much streaming. It's getting bigger and bigger with sports now. All these TV contracts, man. It's crazy.
Don't get me started with the streaming. That's a whole other show. You already looped me into the
gambling. Yeah, we can do another 3 hours on streaming. It's ridiculous. And now what? Hold on. What did I see? Baseball? They made deals with Netflix, I think, recently. So there's gonna be baseball games.
Yeah, there's
they're going on Netflix now, which is just fantastic. The whole NFL TV coverage, it does. It does. Anyway,
did you guys watch Stranger Things yet? Who's the Stranger Things?
No, I'm done. Nope. It's gonna be one of the first major TV shows that I ever watched that I'm not gonna watch the ending of. There's no need to wait 2,000 years in between season 4 and 5. Like, I'm not rewatching shit to find out where they're at, and I don't care about 40-year-olds dressing up as high school kids. Okay,
they did look a little bit older than high school kids right now. I'm
actually going to wait till it's all done and all of it's been released, and I'll just watch it all at once because
the first 4 episodes actually were pretty darn decent.
I can't convince myself to care about that show anymore. I just can't.
All I could say is I agree, but if you watch it, it'll pull you right back in. It was pretty good. It was pretty good.
I don't want to hear that. Because I was pretty hooked on that show to begin with. Time to make over. I haven't even had breakfast yet. This whole retirement thing is ruining my mornings because I used to get up, shower, have breakfast, then do the show. Well, now I don't have to shower or eat before the show because I don't have anywhere to be the rest of the day. So I'm by the time the show ends like here, I'm hungry. I'm starving. I don't know about turkey yet. We'll save the turkey leftovers for the Eagles game today. Mark, thanks. This has been a blast.
Oh, it's been awesome. Thank you for the last minute.
It's been a while.
I appreciate it.
You got some time off over the holidays.
Yeah, I had heard some of your folks were asking when I was going to be on the show, and I had some time, and I appreciate you squeezing me in.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a little harder to squeeze you in on that camera there after Thanksgiving dinner. You look a little crunched in that little.
I'm on my phone. I'm not on the camera on the laptop. So give me a break, will you?
The camera on the phone adds 15 pounds, not 10 pounds.
Exactly. Yeah.
And Thanksgiving dinner. Anyway, guys, we're going to wrap this up. If you haven't, like, share, subscribe. I'll be live 2:45 for the Eagles watch party, guys. Everybody have a great day. Go Birds.
Go Birds.
Bubbles up.